You might be surprised to learn that the small nail clipper in your pocket can do much more than you think. I'm going to turn these two nail clippers into a mini solder machine. Besides its familiar use for trimming nails, a nail clipper can also become a versatile tool that many people have never noticed. Now, I'll start disassembling the nail clipper, separating each part, including the pin and the lever, so they can be easily examined and repurposed for other uses. I'll also prepare two sets of small nuts and bolts to fasten the bodies of the nail clippers together. This helps keep the metal parts tightly pressed against each other, providing strength and stability during use. I'll rotate the two clipper bodies in opposite directions so that the necessary metal surfaces face each other. Then insert the bolts through prepared holes. This creates a solid connection between the two bodies while keeping all components securely in place. At this step, I'll keep only the clipper body as the main core of the soldering machine, while the lever and the pin will be removed and set aside. Next, I'll move on preparing the electrical wires, choosing ones with sturdy insulation and good heat resistance to ensure safety. These wires will connect to the clipper body, carrying a stable current without worrying about melting or burning during soldering. Now, I'll connect one end of the wire to one of the secured clipper bodies. Next, I'll prepare a second wire, attaching alligator clips to each end for easy connection to a power source, such as a battery or an adapter. This wire will serve as the other side of the circuit, supplying stable electricity to the clipper body without the need for direct soldering, while also allowing convenient assembly and adjustment during use. Next, I'll connect the remaining wire from the clipper body to another alligator clip. Once finished, both wires will have alligator clips, allowing the mini soldering machine to easily connect to a power source. To attach the soldering tip to the clipper body, I'll use a small terminal block. This block will securely hold the soldering tip in place. I'll attach the terminal block to the remaining bolt of the two clipper bodies. This secures the soldering tip firmly on the clipper body, while providing a stable electrical contact with current to flow efficiently through the tip. Next, I'll repurpose a used battery by extracting its metal core to make the soldering tip. This core conducts heat well, is compact, and can be easily attached to a prepared terminal block. When current passes through the clipper body and this tip, the battery core heats up enough to melt solder, creating a mini soldering tip entirely from recycled materials. Now, I'll sharpen one end of the extracted battery core to form a pointed soldering tip that concentrates heat. Sharpening allows for precise contact with small solder joints, enabling the solder to melt quickly and accurately, while giving better control when working on tiny components or electronic details. After sharpening, I'll attach the battery core to the remaining end of the terminal block. This secures the soldering tip firmly and ensures good electrical contact between the clipper body and the tip. As a result, when powered, the tip heats evenly and is ready for precise soldering on joints. Next, I'll use a motorcycle battery as the power source for the mini soldering machine by simply clipping the two alligator clips to the battery terminals. Current flows through the clipper body directly to the soldering tip. Thanks to the battery, the tip heats up quickly, reaching a temperature sufficient to melt solder and work on small components, while providing a stable and safe power supply for DIY tasks. When powered by the battery, the mini solder machine works very well. The tip heats up quickly with consistent and even heat across the battery core. The handling feels very flexible, and although the machine is simple, its performance exceeds expectations. The metal handle tends to get a bit hot, so I'll wrap a layer of tape around it. This provides insulation and makes it safer and more comfortable to hold during use. I have a plastic box, but a piece of the handle is broken. Now, I'll use the mini solder machine to fix it by melting the plastic at both broken ends and pressing them together. First, I'll apply super glue to the broken ends to hold them roughly in place before using the mini soldering machine. Next, I'll use the stapler piece I separated earlier, placing it at the joint between the two plastic parts. Then, I'll heat it with the mini solder machine, so the staple bonds firmly to both pieces of plastic. This not only reinforces a joint, but also helps the melted plastic fuse smoothly, making the handle stronger and more durable after repair. Once the pieces have fully fused, the repair becomes remarkably strong. The handle now feels solid and stable, with no wobbling or weakness at the joint. Even under pressure or when lifting the box, it holds firmly, giving the impression that it was never broken. The combination of super glue, melted plastic, and internal clipper reinforcement ensures that the handle is durable and reliable for regular use. Next, I will move on to soldering the two razor blades together. I carefully align them, then use a soldering iron to join the metal edges, ensuring a secure and stable connection. The joint between the two razor blades is very strong and securely fused. The metal edges are tightly bonded, with no gaps or weak points, giving a reliable and durable connection. Even when applying pressure, the blades remain firmly in place. When soldering the electrical joint, I'll position the stripped ends of the wires together, then apply the heated tip of the mini soldering machine. The heat melts the solder, which flows around the wires, creating a solid conductive connection. Once cooled, the joint is secure with good electrical continuity and mechanical strength. When tinning the end of a wire, I'll heat the exposed wire with a soldering tip and apply a small amount of solder. The solder melts and coats the wire evenly, forming a shiny, smooth layer. This prepares the wire for a strong electrical connection and ensures good conductivity when joining it to other components. Overall, the mini solder machine proves to be surprisingly effective. Despite its simple DIY construction from recycled materials, it heats up quickly, maintains stable temperature, and allows precise control for small repairs and soldering tasks. It demonstrates how ingenuity and basic tools can create practical solutions, making it a handy device for quick fixes and electronics work. In conclusion, this project shows that with a bit of creativity and resourcefulness, even everyday items like nail clippers that use battery, and some wires can be transformed into a functional mini soldering machine. It's a perfect example of DIY innovation, simple, cost-effective, and surprisingly efficient, proving that useful tools don't always have to come from a store.